Hello friends, welcome back. So today we'll be seeing about what is a VPC is. VPC stands for Virtual Private Cloud. So cloud in itself is intangible, right? So you can't touch and feel a cloud, but it's running somewhere. But in that virtually present cloud, we are trying to carve out something for our own usage. That's called as virtual private cloud. It's like a bag of ours into which we throw in a bunch of stuff, and we call that as ours. So if you want to equate it to a physical world thing, you can equate a virtual private cloud almost approximately equivalent to your data center. What I have done is say let the data center have an IP address of 10.0.0.0/16. So that's the maximum mask which they would allow you to have. You can't have a /15 mask, though it's a class A address. Like the CIDR should have /8. The subnet mask should have been /8. The CIDR can go from /8 all the way up to /32. But we are going to take /16 over here. So these two things would be constant, and these two things can be varied. Okay. Now what are we trying to achieve over here? Okay, that's what we are trying to see. So what I'm going to do is inside this private cloud, right, I'm going to have two subnets. One subnet I'm going to put it in public subnet. Okay, though the IP address is RFC 1918 address, which is this address as such is not routable on the internet. Okay, routable or routable on the internet, because this is a public private address. Okay, 10 dot series is always a private address, but through the magic of some kind of a routing, we are going to say that this particular subnet is going to be publicly available. So I'm calling this as public subnet. Okay, don't have any confusions. So if a machine is having this particular IP in my setup, I'm going to give it access to internet. Okay, on the other hand, if the machine is going to have an IP of 10.0.11.0, okay, 10.0.11.1 or 10.0.11.2, I'm going to put it in my private subnet. So I will restrict my machine from accessing internet. We'll see how we can bypass that using either a NAT instance or a NAT gateway. Okay, that is reserved for future video, but for now what we are going to do is create a VPC like this. Okay, and create two subnets, one subnet with 10.0.1.0/24 in one particular availability zone called AZ1, and another one called private subnet with this particular IP range in another availability zone called AZ2. Okay, now in order for these missions, okay, the missions in this subnet to go out to internet, I need to create a mission, right? So when I create a mission, I would select something called as security group. Okay, what a security group is nothing but a local firewall. Okay, that is applied at the instance level. So every instance I create here, I need to attach a particular security group to that particular mission. If not, that security group will not be attached to it. I mean to say that firewall is not applied to that particular instance. Okay, so if I have another instance over here, I have to specifically go and say that this security group is attached to that particular mission which I am creating here. Okay, clear up to now? Okay, I have a mission here and I associate a security group along with it. Okay, for now remember that. Now let's jump over to the internet side. Okay, so how would this particular bag, right, this violet color bag outside here, it's called VPC, get access to internet? It's using internet gateway, and there could be only one internet gateway for this particular violet color bag. Okay, this internet gateway, as the name suggests, is a gateway to your internet over here. Perfect, very clear up to now. Okay, so uh, let's get the internet gateway out of our way, as well as this particular part out of our way. Okay, now let's concentrate on what is called as network access control list, which is NACL. Okay, a NACL is stateless. What I mean by stateless is, if this mission, okay, if a mission over here were to go out to internet on port 80, the return traffic should be specifically allowed in the NACL. If not, the NACL would allow the traffic to go out, but the return traffic would get blocked. Okay. In effect, if this machine were to try to go out to internet on port 80, only the SYN connection would go. When the SYNAC comes back, the SYNAC would get blocked. So the second packet itself would get dropped. That's what I would like to say about the NACL. Okay. So what we are going to do is, in the NACL, there is an inbound list and an outbound list. In the inbound list, I'm specifying allow port 22, port 80, and port 1024 till the end of ports, which is 65,500 and 35 or something like that. Okay, so all those ports would be allowed to get back in. Okay, so this particular last range would be used only when a machine over here is trying to access the internet on port 80. Okay, not the other way around, not an internet guy trying to access port 80 on this particular machine, whereas this machine trying to browse the internet, that's when this last rule would hit. If not, this is never going to hit. So I would recommend having this revoked after you update your particular machine. um, Perfect. Now we are also a little bit clear on the NACL part of it. Okay, the NACL is applied throughout the VPC, so I need to attach it to the VPC similar to our internet gateway. So once this is applied, this NACL is going to allow only port 22 inside port. So if the destination port is going to be from the internet, right, if the destination port is going to be 22, it will allow. The destination port is going to be 80 to allow. The destination port is going to be anywhere between 1024 till 65,000 K ports. It's going to allow. Okay. So on the outbound port, I'm going to allow all ports out to the internet. So anything on this machine can go out to the internet. But when it comes to this machine, right, it needs to know that there is an internet gateway to which it can reach out to. Okay. But what we have done is, since this is a private subnet, we have not shown this particular mission over here, the missions inside this particular subnet, that there is a way out for you. Okay, how that is achieved is by using these kind of route tables. Okay, what route tables would do is, by default, when I create a VPC, the routing between the VPC is going to be established by default. Okay, route table would get established by default for 10.0.0.16 0/16 by default as soon as I create a VPC. Whereas, okay, when I'm going to ask it to go out to the internet, that's going to be blocked. So what I need to specifically do is, in the route table, I need to go and select what is the internet gateway which I'm going to associate to, and what is the subnet which I'm going to associate with. So this route table would associate only with the public subnet and not with the private subnet. Thereby, when this machine wants to go out to the internet, it can use this route table information to go and reach the internet gateway, whereas this machine will never be able to reach the internet gateway because it doesn't have that particular route information present in it in the first place to begin with. All right, very clear up to now. Now let's jump into AWS console and try to do exactly this. What I'll do is, I'll create this entire infrastructure, create a VM here, and as well as create a VM here. Then I'll try to SSH from the internet, that is my base machine, to this particular instance. I'll be able to SSH into. This machine will never get a public IP on the private subnet, right? It will never get a public IP for me to SSH directly from the internet. Rather, what I can do is, since I have already SSH'd via this orange link over here, from here I'll be able to jump into this particular machine. Okay, that's what we are going to accomplish right now. Let's jump into AWS console for now. Now, what we are going to do is, we are going to try to create a VPC. Let's go into VPC. Okay, that's one way. Or I can click on services and say that I want to go into VPC. That's either under my history, or my VPC would be somewhere around here. Yeah, network. I clicked on that, so it's going to take me to my VPC. You can see the VPC dashboard. It's going to have a default VPC of 1. It's having 6 internet subnets because in Northern Virginia there are 6 availability zones. So it has 6 subnets by default. It has 1 network access control list by default. It has 1 security group by default, 1 route table by default, 1 internet gateway by default. Can you relate everything right now? So it has everything by default, but what I'm going to do, okay, is going to start. Oh, sorry, no, I'm going to click on. I'm not going to create the VPC via wizard because wizard is for child's display. So what we are going to do is we are going to set up everything manually, because once you know everything to be set up manually, then if time is at crunch, then you can go ahead with the wizard thing. Okay, so let's create a VPC. So uh, name tag. So let me say this is Bala's VPC, and my IP address is going to be 10.0.0.0/16. Okay, then I'm going to say the tenancy is going to be default, which means to say that it would ask whether it's going to be dedicated or a default. So I'm not going to go in for dedicated thing. I'm just going to leave it at default and say yes, create. So as soon as I say create, there are going to be a bunch of things which this particular thing is going to set in motion. So what I can ideally do is I can click here and say this is Bala's VPC. Okay, and click yes. So once I do this, if I go back to the VPC dashboard, okay, let's see if I have something set up here. I don't think so. Okay, let's go to VPC dashboard. Let's see what and all it has changed. So since I created one VPC, right, it has added, you remember route table was just one, now it became two. Security group was just one, it became two. The network ACL was just one, it became two. Okay, what are the things which got added is, it added one security group, it added one route table, and it added one NACL, not internet gateway. Okay, it added the pink box, this orange box, orange circle, and the red box. I do not know why I said this as a box. I know a bunch of people over here would be laughing, like over there would be laughing, or over along with you would be laughing. Perfect. So now what we are going to do is, let's go inside route tables and see what has happened. Okay, when I click on this particular route table, I can see that there are 0 subnets associated along with this. Then if I go down to the NACL, I can see that this is the default NACL ID which got created. So this default NACL ID will always have allow everywhere. Okay, for the inbound rule, so people coming from internet accessing the VMs would have all access, as well as people who are on the VM trying to go out to the internet on the outbound rules will have all access. All right, then if I go down to security groups, that's where one more got added. Over here, if you see the inbound rules, everything is allowed from everywhere. Outbound rules, everything is allowed to everywhere. Okay, let's start with creating a security group now. Okay, let's fix a security group, internet gateway, a routing table, and let's fix an internet gateway. Oh, did I say internet gateway here? It's an ACL. Okay, security group. Let's create a security group now. Okay, uh, the name tag is going to be Bala SG Web SSH. Description: allow access to web and SSH, and it's asking which VPC do I need to place it under. I'm going to say that I need to place it under this particular VPC and say yes, create. So once I create a VPC right over here, um, you see that outbound everything is allowed, inbound I don't have anything attached to it. So let's edit it and say I need port SSH port, source anything, source is going to be source is going to be anything, 0.0.0.0/0. Add another rule. I'm going to say HTTP and say my mouse pointer didn't move, 0.0.0.0/0. There was something there, right? What was that? I am really not sure what these two things are for. Probably these two things are already created in my account. I have to go and check them and have them deleted if needed. Perfect. So now that these two things are created, I'm going to click on save. So once these two things are saved, I want to go head over to NACL. So network access control list. In this, I'm going to create a new NACL and say this is Bala NaCl, not sodium chloride. It's NACL. Let's create under that VPC. So if you see, there are two NACLs. Okay, you see this NACL. Its NACL ID is 917. NACL ID is D92. A particular VPC can have two NACLs. Okay, um, so that's one. And can I associate this NACL with that particular subnet? I don't think so. I can. Let's go to inbound rules. So what are the inbound rules which I'm going to allow? Let's go back to the picture. So this is an NACL which I've just now created. I have to allow for 22, 80 and 1024 till the end. Let's edit it and say add another rule, and these rules are added in increments of 100 so that it's easier to adjust another rule up the stack. So I say port 80, source can be from anywhere, 0.0.0.0 /0, add another rule, 200 and say port 22, same thing, add another, I say 300. This is fine. I would say uh, this is when my machine or my instance inside the private subnet. Okay, my machine inside this sorry, public subnet wants to reach out to internet, say wants to browse google.com. The return traffic would come back to a different ephemeral port, right? So that's what I'm going to add right now, 1024 to 65,535 if I'm not wrong. Source can be from anywhere and say save. Once that is saved, what is my outbound traffic going to be? All traffic. Oh, it's saying all traffic is denied because by default when I create an ACL everything would be denied. I have to sit and allow what are the traffic which needs to go out to. So when somebody on the internet, okay, tries to come and access some service over here, they would have they would come and reach the destination port of 80, right? When they go back, they'll go back to an ephemeral port. So that's what I would be allowing over here, an ephemeral port. Add another rule, I would say 100 TCP, port range of 1024 to 65,535. Destination would be anything, and my mouse is again stuck. Okay, now that's done. Let me add one more. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add port, not port, rule 200, and I'm going to allow ICMP all to any destination. Click on save. I have allowed the ICMP to go outbound, but I haven't allowed it on the inbound. So guess what? I have to add it even here. Add another rule, 400. So I would say allow all ICMP from any destination, from any source to reach back to me. So now we have fixed security group. Now we have also fixed NACL. Okay, now next what we are going to do is we have to go ahead and start creating an internet gateway. Let's create an internet gateway and call it Bala IG for internet gateway. Create that. Once we create it, it's asking where to attach it to, right? Attach to a VPC is what it says. So when I click on that, I see it pre-populated with Bala's VPC. So this is this particular part of internet gateway getting attached to this violet thing, right? So click yes, attach. So as soon as we attach it, you see this getting populated. Now I cannot attach it to something else. I have to detach it first, right? And I can't have another thing attached to the in essence, like one VPC cannot have two internet gateways. Likewise, one internet gateway cannot have two VPCs. So it's a one-to-one mapping. Now let's go to, so before going to routing tables, we need to have subnets. Okay, if we have subnets only, then those subnets can be routed. So let's create the required subnets. So we have created an internet gateway, attached it here. We have created this pink box and kept it inside this particular VPC. Now we have also created this red box and kept it inside the no, we have just created it. We have not associated with anything because the instance still needs to be created, right? Because security group will always get attached only to the instance, but this security group is belongs to this VPC is what we have done while creating that. Now in the subnet, right, I'm going to create a subnet. First let's create the public subnet. So let's call Bala public subnet. And if you remember the subnet, so it's asking what availability zone do you want it under. I'd say A. This can be 10.0.1.0/24. So let me go back to the diagram once again so that it's very clear. So public subnet has this particular IP. I've put it in AZ1, availability zone 1. Okay, and say create. So as soon as I create it, it's going to pop up here. um, yeah, that's created. Perfect. If you see the route table and NACL, so we may have to go ahead and fix certain NACL settings, because by default it will go and fall in the under the main NACL. So we would fix all those things. So let's create one more subnet. So it's going to be Bala private subnet, and I would put it under 1B and say this is 10.0.11.0. Remember that? 24. Let me go back there. So this is going to be 11.0/24. Yes, create. So once I create that, I have my required subnets. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to the route tables and create a route table for myself. So if I were to refresh it here and create a route table and say this is Bala route table, or just wait, route table, just say route, and it's going to belong to this particular VPC, and I would say create. So once the route table is created, perfect, I can go inside the route and say okay, it's going to route it here. Let's click on edit, right? What I'm going to basically do is, on the route table, I would say that if you want to go to 0.0.0.0, go to this internet gateway is what I am going to create. Okay, now let's see, let's add another route and say 0.0.0.0/0, and I would say the target is Bala's IG, which is internet gateway. Remember, this is IGW, internet gateway. Once I do that and click on save, so the route tables has a way to go to internet, but the thing is it doesn't have any subnets associated. Okay, there are a couple of subnets. One is the public subnet and the other one is private subnet, right? Let's click on edit now and say this public subnet has to be associated with that particular route. If I click on save, you would see this becoming one over here. So saw that became one here, and one of the public subnets got pulled over on top, right? So now that's done. Let's go head back to We are not going to do anything with route propagation or tags. Let's go to internet gateway. Nothing is there. Let's go to NACL to see if we have missed anything. um, we definitely have missed something. So in the NACL as well, we have to specify the subnets, because by default when a subnet get created, it gets associated with the default subnet in that particular VPC. So I have to go to subnet, click on edit, and say both these subnets belong to my NACL. Click on save. As soon as I save, these two will come down here. So that it went from the default NACL which got created to Bala NACL which we created. Okay, the default NACL got created because we created the VPC. Remember, I showed that VPC dashboard how certain things became 222 after creating a VPC. So I pulled those two subnets from there to here. If I do not pull it out, then if this particular NACL, so this particular NACL by default, right, would allow everything which I really do not want my machine to be exposed to. So I created my own and said that okay, these are the only things which you would be allowed, and these are the things which you won't be allowed, right? So I'm going to deny other things by default except for these four things. I know this particular rule would hit everything, almost everything, but after the update is done, I can go ahead and actually have this removed. Perfect. Now that's done. So summary. Let's click on inbound rules, outbound rules. Everything's looking neat and tidy. Perfect. Tags. I don't have. Okay, I have one tag over here. Then let's go to security groups and see what's there inside the security group. So when I go inside security group, I can see under summary. Okay, allow access. That's the description. Inbound rule is going to be 80 and 22. Outbound rule. So security group is stateful. Okay, if somebody were to come and contact this instance on 22, the return traffic is going to get allowed. So security group is stateful in that case. Now that we have set up a VPC, now it's time to populate our VPC with a couple of virtual machines. Okay, now this entire setup is done except for creating a virtual machine over here and here, which is called an instance in case of AWS. Let's go to services. Let's go to EC2. Okay. Now that we are here, let's click on launch instance, and I'm going to select Ubuntu right now. Okay, this is also a free tier, right? So I've selected that. Configure instance. So I see this is one instance. The VPC shouldn't be default, rather it should be the VPC which we have created right now. Then it's asking what subnet do you want to put it under. I have two subnets, remember, public subnet as well as private subnet. For now, I'm going to put it in public subnet. Um, then the subnetting, use subnetting settings. So it's not going to automatically get an IP unless until I say enable, which we can set in that subnet setting that if any device on that particular subnet, please issue it an IP. So that is not a big deal. So once this is done, shutdown behavior should be stop. Perfect. Now let's go and add our storage, which we are going to leave it at default. Then add tags is going to be default. Configure security group. Okay, we are going to select an existing security group and not the one which not create one right now. So we're going to use this particular security group which says port 80 and 22 allowed. Review and launch. Let's go ahead and launch it. And it says that do you want to use an existing key? I already have an existing key, so I'm going to use that particular thing, and I say I acknowledge I have that particular key and launch the VM. So in the meantime, this is getting launched. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create one more um, instance, right? Ubuntu, perfect, select it. Um, Configure instance. I'm going to put it under the same Bala VPC. Rather, what I'm going to do is right now, I'm going to put it under, instead of public, I'm going to put it under private. use subnetting settings, which is disabled by default, but I'm going to enable it. That is assign IP address automatically. Then I'm not going to do anything else over here. Add storage, it's going to be default. Add tags, default. Configure security group. It doesn't matter even if I try to give this particular security group, because nobody from the internet is going to be able to access it. But what would happen is a person on the private subnet would be able to access this because of port 22 open over here. Okay, let's review and launch, and click on launch, and say I have access to this VPC. I'll take care. Okay, once we do this, click on that. So you would see one in 1B, which is the private, right? I just cleared that search over there. Now you see the one in the public subnet is running, up and running. So let me edit this and say this is Ubuntu public. Okay, so it's very easy to remember. Let's copy this IP, open up my terminal. I know that I have my key over here, SSH to UBUNTU Ubuntu. So when you select Ubuntu AMI, you have to use Ubuntu username. Don't use EC2-user. You would get an error, something like saying permission denied for something. Permission denied for your pre-shared key is what it would complain. So we are here right now, correct? What I can do is from this particular mission, let me try becoming a root. Okay, just to show you what I can. I can do an apt get update. So if I do this, this can go out to internet and pull down the required packages if I'm not wrong. And if I am wrong, this is not going to be able to go out to internet. So let's do IPA. Okay, it has an internet, perfect. You know what? I have to see on the knuckle if I have allowed port 80 to go outbound, which I have not done, right. In this particular thing, I say outbound allowed all ports, but have I allowed that over there in my knuckle is what I would like to see. Let's go to services, VPC. Let's go to knuckle. Let's go to the two subnets which is assigned here, inbound rules, outbound rules. So this is where the problem is lying. So it says that if it is in this port range, allow it out, is what I had claimed. But now my apt-get is actually trying to go out to internet on port 80 and 443, which is actually not getting allowed here. So if I have to edit this and say port, put it at 99. Okay, custom rule. I would say port. Can I put a comma here? Let me test it. 443. Destination address. Oh, I can't. For a range. Okay, perfect. Oh, so it says that I can't. And that one. Add another one. Ah, I should have seen this coming. 443. Go to anywhere and save. So what in effect I have done is I've created a VM here, right? When I tried doing apt-get update, it wanted to go out, take this particular path and go out, but knuckle will allow only inbound on port 22. Okay, but it will not allow outbound on port 80 because outbound I've said all ports here, but I have not created it over there. So that's what I have just now did. So this would get applied automatically. So if I were to do this now, apt-get update. See this? Machine is able to go out to the internet and pull down its relevant packages. So now this is updated. If I were to cat, not cat, let me open another terminal here and cat my key. Okay, this happens to be my private key for now. So right click and copy, go over here. I can exit out being a root, vim, and say key.txt, insert I button, right click, paste, then escape colon write and quit. So now I have my key copied to this particular machine, right? And I have to chmod it to 600. If not, the permission is set worldwide. uh, Perfect. But in any case, you people read this thing out, so I would definitely have these keys deleted. uh, so now that this is done, what I'm going to do next is try to see what is the other instance which got created. Let's go into EC2. Now what I'm going to attempt to do is um, SSH into this from here, right? There's a machine here. I'm going to SSH into this machine. So for that, let me create another terminal so that it's very easy. I'll SSH first this. From here, I'll show you how I'm jumping back there. Let's see instances. I just need to get the IP of this particular machine. There is something wrong over here. You know why? This 1B shouldn't be having a public IP address. I do not know how it got a public IP. Uh, which shouldn't have been the case. I must have associated with something which resulted it in getting that particular public IP, or during creation time probably I left it just like that. Okay, let's do one thing. Okay, let's have this deleted. Instance state, terminate that instance alone. Yes, let's create it so that let's see from where is this picking up this particular public IP. Actually speaking, it shouldn't have one. If not, people would be able to SSH directly to that box, right? So let's launch an instance. Let's select Ubuntu itself, general purpose, perfect, configure next. So in this case, I'm going to say this is going to be in this particular VPC with my private subnet, and I would say enable it. Oh, okay, okay. So auto assign public IP. Okay, I'm not going to give it a public IP. So this is the mistake which I have done, I believe. So now that it is done over here, if I add a storage, add tags, configure security group, select an existing one, select that one, review and launch, click on launch, and say that yes, I have access to that key, click on launch. This should come up fairly quickly, probably in a couple of minutes time. So if I click that, and I can name this private, right? Now you see that it's up and running already. Now you see that it's not getting a public IP, rather it gets only a private IP, right? So that's the mistake which I have done over there. Perfect. So now I know that this is the IP I need to SSH onto. So if I were to open another terminal, which I could by just dragging this thing out, come on, come out, perfect, came out. So SSH, now I need to SSH into Ubuntu at my public machine first, because from there I'll be jumping into my private machine. So this is my public machine. You see the IP of the public machine. So I've SSH'd there. Now let's jump on to our private machine, which is 10.0.11.139. SSH 10.0.11.139. Okay. I need not specify the username because this is the user which it would pick automatically. -I and key. Press enter. Is IP correct? 11.139. Perfect. The ping 10.0.11.139. Let's see why this is not working. So troubleshooting also helps. Oh, it's still initializing. I thought it's already running. So let's refresh it to see if it's running. Okay, I see two instances running, two volumes, one key pair. I go back to instances, still initializing. I believe that's the problem. So once I get that 2 of 2 checks right, then I should be able to SSH into that particular box. So up until that time, it's not going to allow me to get inside that particular box. So status checks, system reachability check passed, instance check reachability check pass. I believe these are the 2 of 2 instances. Let's see over here. Ah, that's where it is waiting. Okay, it took a couple of more minutes. Then eventually the 2 of 2 check pass came up. So now what we can do is let me have both the things open simultaneously. So now I am on the public mission on both the terminal. From this terminal I'm going to SSH on to the second mission which I have. Did the IP get changed or something, or have I not typed the IP correctly? So 10.0.11.139, 10.0.11.139, and that's the key. Let me do this. UBUNTU art. I'm going to pause the video, try to figure out why this is not working, and I'm going to let you know what I did. Okay, folks, I finally figured out. So, what mistake I have done? Okay, so this was the private instance. I had it terminated. I created one more. I terminated that one as well, and finally I created Amazon Linux image, thinking that probably that would work. Even that failed, and the very reason it failed is because I was under the public mission, right? From here I was trying to SSH over here. So what is the destination port I'm trying to go out to? It's port 22, right? And that port 22 was never mentioned under the network ACL. So which I've currently created. If you remember, the public mission was not able to go out to the internet to get apt-get update. That's when we added port 80 and 443 to the outbound group, outbound rule. Now I added SSH port of 22. Then it works like a charm. Okay, now let's log into the public machine, which is at the IP of 34,200, right? So 34,200, let's log in. So now that I am in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to SSH over to my over to the EC2 machine, which is Amazon AMI, at an IP of 11.228. If I click that, 11.228, and this is on my private network, which is visible with hyphen 1b. And if you were to search for the subnet group, anyway, the IP itself is very clear that that subnet belongs to that private subnet, right? So let me go back there and do this. Yes, now I'm in. Now what we'll try to do is just to show that that machine doesn't have internet access, right? Control Shift T, and drag this thing out. Perfect. Now let me copy this. Sorry, and paste it here. So this machine is supposed to have internet access. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do mtr google.com. So this would do a tracer to google.com and it's able to find it, right? However, here mtr google.com, it's saying mtr is not found. Yum install mtr. It will never be able to yum install mtr because this will never be able to go out to internet. I can show that to you by doing wget google.com over here. So you see it's waiting for connection. It has resolved it because DNS is working, but it's trying to send out to port 80, but it isn't able to connect to that particular machine on port 80 because this doesn't have access to the public internet. So that's it for uh, creating VPC. Next, what we'll try to do is we'll try to create NAT instance as well as NAT gateway and try to allow access for the machine over here to internet via either the NAT instance or the NAT gateway which we would create. Okay, thanks a lot for watching this video. I'm sorry it's quite lengthy one, as well as there were lots of things which I had to troubleshoot, but the way in which like I troubleshooted and explained to you what exactly I troubleshooted is what would help you to understand things in much better way. So that's it. Bye bye.